Hello everyone, I'm Neo, and today we're ranking Cartoon Cat V2! Yep, this was quick. Anyways, this mod got heavily overshadowed and completely disregarded by a huge amount of the community due to another creepy cat mod that I just ranked. And I can sort of understand why, honestly. But when it comes down to soundtrack, you know, the most important part of an FNF mod, I think Cartoon Cat ran circles around Gorefield. And yes, I mean that. There are very few songs in this OST in particular that I think are bad. And most of it is honestly really solid. Sure, a lot of the songs have at least one notable problem, but there's a lot of really good stuff here that I really am happy that I get to talk about. Now before we get started, there are some rules. I am not ranking everything in the mod. For example, I'm not ranking Trapped Mouse, or the old reruns, or the alt reruns, or Addiction, or Sana Mi Dollar, for multiple different reasons. Also, I'm not ranking Evil Eye Old. Again, different reasons. Some of these songs are old versions of songs, thus I don't really feel like ranking them. Some of them are just... well, okay, Sana Mi Dollar is a cover, so I can't really count that. And Addiction wasn't even supposed to be in the mod on its final release, apparently, so, you know, I can't really call it part of the mod, I guess. I don't know, I'm not gonna rank it. And then there's Freak Poster, the big one. It's pretty good, but it's not really a part of the mod officially, to my knowledge, so I'm not counting it. Sorry. But everything else is fair game. With 17 songs, let's see what the absolute worst is.
And the truth shall set you free!
Hidden Truths is really, really, really bad. Like, this is horribly bad. For a lot of reasons. I hate how this instrumental sounds. It's so overbearing and really unpleasant to listen to. It's just too loud. Boyfriend is also really bad. He's just very compressed and almost pixelated and muffled, and that's bad, but that's not the worst part of the song. No, it's the bridge worm. Look, I thought it was kind of cool that the bridge worm was even in this mod, but bias does not affect this ranking. I don't care how cool it is to see a character in. If their song sucks, their song sucks. And that's what happened with the Bridge Worm. And especially with the Bridge Worm's chromatic. Ugh, I hate this chromatic so much. It's so muffled and so just... oh, it feels like as if you took something and then you put it in one of those machines that just crushes things. You compressed it into a pancake. It is awful. I guess the chromatic kind of fits the bridge worm, but that doesn't make it any better because it's still super unpleasant to listen to. And that only makes it worse when you look at, I don't know, the melodies, which are completely indistinguishable now because of how loud the bridge worm is. It overpowers Boyfriend's ability to get any main melodies in, but because the bridge worm isn't able to have a proper chromatic that sings melodies on its own, it feels like there is no melodies and the whole song just feels like random noise. Ugh. I was so ready to put this one in G tier. I really was. The one thing that's really saving this song for me, and I mean that, the one thing that is keeping this from G tier and keeping it in F tier is that last final 20 seconds or so. Because admittedly, that's when the chromatic sounds at its best, and that little tiny moment is decent enough to save it. But this is still one of these, it's just one of the lowest F tiers I've ever ranked, and it is just barely hanging on to F tier because of that ending, which does admittedly sound good, because that's when you can actually distinguish out a melody and the instrumental finally doesn't feel so overpoweringly loud. But again, if it wasn't for that ending, this would have been a G tier, no hesitation. This would have been worse than Nocturnal Meow, and y'all already know how much I hated that song. So, congratulations, Hidden Truths, you have one moment of decency. But it's still really disappointing. Distant Alarm has a lot of problems, I'm gonna be completely real. So, this opening instrumental sounds actually kind of nice, and I was immediately curious what the song was gonna be, and it very quickly went downhill. First of all, why are we getting a collaboration between Cartoon Cat and the Trollage characters? That doesn't really make much sense. At least with some of the other collaborations you can make some fair line of reasoning, but this just feels random. And then there's, as he's called, the Weeping God. This chromatic is awful. I really cannot stand it. It's way too scratchy and way too weird for me to enjoy. Siren Head's chromatic is amazing and fits his character really, really well. But between this and Silver Edge, he sounds a lot better in Silver Edge. He's trying his best to carry the beginning of this song, but otherwise, Weeping God is just ruining it completely for me. The instrumental is fine, I guess, but this whole section is just way too slow. I can barely feel invested in this song at all. And then everything sort of changes up. And this different instrumental kicks in, back to swing type, and I'm gonna be real, I like this part a lot. I really love this little transition. This sounds really good. Sets up a new tone, and oh, look at that! It's Cartoon Cat and a different troll called Corruptus. Okay. So, weirdly enough, instead of just keep on with this instrumental, it all of a sudden dies down the moment Cartoon Cat starts singing, and Cartoon Cat sounds way too robotic and static for this song. Definitely the worst performance he has in the entire mod when it comes to his bass vocals. Corruptus also doesn't sound very good. And this whole thing is 2 turns worth, and that transition lasted way too long, making this whole section just feel painfully short and yet painfully long. Then it ends back off with Siren Head and this stupid troll again. This is a fine enough ending of the song melody-wise, I guess, but yeah, I really barely can get into this. There are elements of the song that I can praise, such as Siren Head himself, and the instrumental has its moments of charm. But otherwise, the 2 troll characters, their chromatics are bad, Cartoon Cat sounds really off in this song, and the pacing is just all over the place. This was a really big miss.
Shivers down your spine.
King's Birth is a very mixed song for me. Again, we're pretty big increase in quality in terms of Distant Alarm in this, but like still, I'm not a big fan of this one. The melodies aren't bad, and I don't entirely dislike these chromatics, even though it's a little bit on the generic side, which is not my favorite. And admittedly, the song does feel like one of the most repetitive songs of the mod, which definitely makes it a lot weaker. I don't know, this one just was kind of forgettable to me. Also, weirdly enough, this gives me Sonic vibes, and I don't mean Sonic EXE, by the way, I mean just generally Sonic vibes. There's something about this rhythm that's kind of Sonic-y, but because it's not in that Sega Genesis type of sound font, it ends up sounding weird. This is probably just a me thing, but I don't know, something about it just feels off to a way I really can't describe in words. That being said, this pop-off is kind of nice, and it's alright. Like, I don't dislike this song that much, I just don't really feel anything towards it. It's just very to me. So, yeah, this is gonna just end up being a C tier for me. That's what happens when you give me a song where I really don't know what to do with it.
you are alive.
Turn around. This one's a little bit on the iffy side for me, because there are parts of the song that I do not like, and then there are parts of this song that are amazing. So, starting up with this opening, I don't like it. It just sounds... I don't know. The man with the upside down face is chromatic. That is a mouthful. I'm just gonna call it the upside down chromatic. I don't like it all that much. It's fine, but it just doesn't sound good in the very opening. But then that transition shift that Boyfriend sings in is really nice, and it transitions the song smoothly into a much better pace, which I enjoy far more, and I'm kind of vibing with this part of the song. I like it. And then there's the big gimmick of the song, where the man with the upside down face, he proceeds to make the screen flipped around, and that is the primary melody of the song. Admittedly, it's actually kind of a catchy beat, and it works well. I don't mind it too much. Sure, the instrumental isn't doing a lot during this part, but it's fine because this is mostly focused on the rhythm itself. And then after that, this entire middle section between that first turnaround moment and then the second is so good. This beat goes in. I really, really like it. It's just so intense, and I love how just out of nowhere this sudden intensity comes from. It sounds amazing. Unfortunately, it's over just as soon as it was reaching its peak point, which is disappointing. Again, I don't dislike this main melody that's played, but I don't know, man. It just feels like that section should have been longer, and it's kind of disappointing. And then the ending of the song is fine. Really, there's a lot here that I do enjoy, but I just wish the upside down chromatics was better. Because as it stands, it's not my favorite. I don't really love it that much. It's utilized well during the middle of the song, but especially during the opening, and even somewhat to a degree the ending, it just isn't all that great. And again, the opening is where my biggest problems are. And here we have oh gosh, not another word that I can't pronounce. Equinophobia. It's the Skeleton Horse song. There you go, that's all I got. I like this song quite a lot. I like this opening and how much of a total vibe it is. He's the long skeleton horseman. His vocals are very nice and they mesh well with Boyfriend's pretty well. The melodies are good. This whole first half is a vibe. Melodies are all really solid, and the Cartoon Cat phase is also really good. I love that melody, even though I do wish that it was a little bit faster, or maybe the pauses weren't as big. And some people will probably criticize, it's like, yeah, Cartoon Cat didn't sing. So? Melodies that are there are still really good, and I don't mind that the Cartoon Cat doesn't sing during that phase. It makes his whole presence of him just staring at you feel far more menacing and creepy. It's just ominous. You don't really know what he's thinking. He's just standing there, menacingly, and it works for me. So why is the song so low? Well, there is one pretty gigantic flaw with the song, and that's the ending. Right after the Cartoon Cat phase, there's this really unnecessarily long, drawn-out pause. Well, not a pause, it is an instrumental fade-out, but like, the song should have just ended when Boyfriend was done singing against Cartoon Cat. But instead they just drag it out, and this entire ending bit just feels completely unnecessary and just, has no payoff, which is such a shame because this is what bothered me so much with the song. It was doing so much better, and then this ending phase, like, what's the point? Why is this here? Great song, just this. If this ending was cut, it would probably rank higher. Patron Saint. This is an interesting one. I used to have it ranked a lot higher, but the other songs just kind of grew on me more. As for the song itself, I really love this song. I love how Boyfriend sounds. He's got such a unique chromatic for this song that's unlike anything else, not only from this mod, but from just any mod I've ever heard. It's interesting because this mod in particular changed up Boyfriend's chromatic far more than most mods. He sounds so unique in the majority of the songs he's in, which I like. I like that they took that chance and they made some custom chromatics for him. And oftentimes, I think it pays off. I think it ends up sounding better as a custom chromatic over his default chromatic. Plus, it just makes it more fun, you know? It's like listening to a new chromatic for Boyfriend just makes the whole OST feel more revisitable. I don't know, it just adds a bit more charm to it and shows that there was a lot of care put into these songs. And then there's the Lamb's vocals. Also, yes, that creature is called the Lamb, the more you know. So, I think the chromatic is fine. It is a little bit too high and doesn't quite sound that great in terms of rhythm. I think it's serviceable and it works, but it is a bit on the weaker side and does occasionally sound kind of off. The instrumental is really fun and extremely hard-hitting, especially at the beginning makes you think it's going to be ominous and then just hits you with this hard-hitting melody. But unfortunately the vocals don't really carry any melody that I can remember as easily up until the ending where it sounds amazing, but the rest of the song is just sort of fine, but not super memorable. There's a lot here that I like, and it's a great song to just have on, but I don't remember it as well, and the biggest problem is that after this incredible vocal performance for the ending, this instrumental switch up just feels kind of random, doesn't really flow all that well. Cartoon Jam! This used to be one of my favorite songs, until I discovered a few things. So, I like this song, even though I did not at all understand why it was here. Like, what does Steven Universe have to do with anything going on here? And then I figured out it's because, oh, there was this song in Steven Universe that someone made a dub with of Cartoon Cat and reanimated him over the song, hence why he's here in this mod. Okay, that's kinda neat. Except this entire Cartoon Jam is basically just a remix of that song. Or at least it's very similar, tonal-wise and rhythm-wise. I mean, it's still a remix. I can't really call it a cover when it is different. And different enough to actually count. Unlike Ultrafield! But still, it's, yeah, kinda ruined a little bit of my enjoyment of the song. But then there's the bigger problem, and that's Cartoon Cat's vocals. Look, I like the way he sounds, especially after the middle point and in that second half of the song. He sounds really good there. But in the first half, his notes are just really abrupt and short. And it just sounds slightly off. The melodies are also catchy, but since a lot of it is kind of just remixed from the original song, it's a little hard for me to compliment the melodies of the song. The instrumental is fun and bouncy. I enjoy listening to the song, but it really wasn't gonna beat out a lot of other songs. Catchy song for sure, and I would totally understand if someone put this as their favorite. It is very catchy. But at the same time, it's not really hitting the same for me anymore, especially learning that most of it is just kind of a remix. If there was ever a way for me to definitively prove that art style literally has no effect on my ranking in the slightest, it would be with this song. Cursed Cat is straight up awesome to listen to. I love the vocals for this. I'm gonna call him Cartoon Cat EXE because that's what he's mocking, and that's great. I love Sonic EXE mockery. I love it so much. This character deserves to be mocked into the ground. So seeing a shot fired at it is really funny. The melodies are all around really strong. I like this opening. I like this whole chase segment. It sounds awesome. And the ending is especially peak. The way they mix these vocals with the original Cartoon Cat vocals, it sounds awesome. But there is a flaw with this song, and that's just the song keeps pausing and starting and pausing and starting multiple times, which really takes me out of the song. If those pauses weren't there and the transitions felt more natural, I would have liked this song a lot more. And I mean that, like, this song would have gone so much higher on the list. But these pauses just completely take me out of the song, especially the one that went from the fiery chase segment into the ending. That one's way too dragged out, and it's just a tonal killer. This song was really on the right track, but that just derailed it right at the end, and it is kind of a shame. That being said, the ending still sounds awesome, and I love it. Like, all of the actual singing moments are amazingly good. I just don't... the pauses just bug me a lot, which is a shame. Goink, a song that gets a lot of hate. I can sort of understand the reasoning behind it, but I really don't care because I really like this song. We're not even very high in the list yet. I mean, to be fair, I've already been praising these songs, so what do you expect? First, I'll go over the big con of the song, the thing that everybody loves to bring up, and that's the pig's vocals. I don't dislike them. Granted, they're not perfect, and they definitely aren't the best, and if anything, they're one of the weaker chromatics of this entire mod. That being said, I still don't dislike them. Comparing this to like something like the Trollage chromatics is easy preferred of the pig. Then again, I just hate those chromatics in general. Ugh. Anyway, they could have handled these vocals better, but for the most part, they aren't too bad, and a more fair comparison might be something like, oh, I don't know, the pig from Hit Single.
Yeah, there's no contest. That was just random oinking. This is an actual chromatic, so I can give him some credit for that. But then there's the rest of the song. I think the melodies are overall solid, especially the ending with that duet bit. That's all amazingly handled. And the instrumental is just such a good vibe all around. I really like it. But then there's the biggest plus of the entire song. Girlfriend. Her chromatic is angelic and heavenly. It is so good and one of my favorite chromatics from this mod. Oh, it just sounds amazing. I kind of hope that if Cartoon Cat V3 does happen, Girlfriend gets some other chances to sing and use this chromatic because it's just so good. I was not expecting it to sound this great, but it's easily the biggest plus of the song. So, even though, yeah, there are some things with this song that could be improved, primarily the pig's vocals, I still think there's a lot of things to like about this song, and it gets way too much hate. A really nice vibe of a song. Also, unrelated note, but I just feel like bringing it up, the game over for this song is really brutal, and I kind of love that. There's actually a lot of cool game overs in this mod, but Goink is my favorite game over, just due to how overly brutal it is. Oh yeah, there's also the dialogue, I am the body of a pig. Speaking of which, I know someone's gonna bring it up, so I'll go ahead and just address that. This has nothing to do with Cartoon Cat. I mean, yeah, fair enough, it doesn't, and is very obscure and kind of random, but like, I judge these off of music first, and from a music perspective, this is just a really good song.
Look into my eyes. I wanna see you die.
And here we have Evil Eye. I really like this song. This version of Cartoon Cat is apparently called Leo Vincible Cartoon Cat. I don't know what this is based off of, I'm sorry. That being said, these vocals still go so in though. It's amazing. The vocals are really good, and this pause point with the laugh, at least it's only one pause point, which is fine. I like how Boyfriend backs up the vocals, I like this chaotically fun instrumental, I really enjoy a lot of the melodies. Well, I enjoy the beginning melodies, and I love the kind of ending of the song, especially the bit where everything goes all red. Those are all good. My biggest problem with the song is that the middle chunk is a little bit forgettable. Not that I dislike it, it does sound really good, and I could totally see myself growing on this song a lot more in the future, to the point where I could call this one maybe one day an S tier. Because as it stands, it's a really good song. I just feel like the melodies in that middle chunk just kind of end up not really standing out to me, which is a shame because again, the opening and the bit with the red eyes and the ending is all really good, but then that middle chunk is just so eh. Still, it's not really a problem with the vocals or the instrumental, it's just the melodies themselves are a little on the underwhelming side. But still a really good song, and I am sure glad that this song does not drag itself out to 6 minutes long with out-of-tune vocals intentionally, with really intentionally bad melodies in the attempt to try to make it look like the song is breaking apart, just so that way it has a cool concept, and then completely throws away actually having a good, catchy song. Yeah, I'm sure glad that doesn't exist, and I'm sure glad that people don't actually think it's good or better than the original because it's out of tune. No, I'm not going to get angry. that's all, folks. The final song of the main week. This is not a finale song, by the way, for anybody who's a little bit confused on it. That's all, folks. Doesn't even feel like it's trying to present itself as a finale song. Good! Because this is just the end of the 1 week, and it feels like one big battle. Now, to start up the song, the instrumental opening is kind of nice, but the actual singing bit is... I gotta admit, if there's one phase I don't really like in this song, it's this opening phase with Cartoon Cat. It feels way too spammy for the most part. There are some good melodies in here, but for the most part this feels like way too much, way too quick for the opening of the song. I kinda wish it started more ominous, really settling in the amount of danger Boyfriend has gotten himself into, instead of just immediately throwing you into chaos. As it goes on, it becomes a little bit more adjustable, but like, yeah, I really wish that it started more ominous than just throwing you in. Cartoon Cat himself sounds pretty good though in this opening portion. So I guess that's something, and Boyfriend still sounds pretty good. The instrumental is definitely the best part of this opening phase, sounding very intense and dramatic and chaotic. And the final setup of Cartoon Cat's phase does sound good, and that's where most of the melody comes in and the song starts to do what I kind of like to call, as a joke, the everlasting moment. Given how in Everlasting there was this moment where there was a lot of spam notes, but the main melody being sung was the person who was singing the slower notes, and that was musically the focus of the song. I think that's what most songs should do. If they want to have a lot of notes for the sake of gameplay difficulty, then make the other person singing have a slower, more followable rhythm, so that way someone who just wants to enjoy the song as a song can listen to those notes and have more enjoyability to it. And that's all, folks. For the most part commits to that, but also lacks in certain areas of the song. Cartoon Dog then enters in, and he basically has the same chromatic except pitched down. Makes sense given the fact that Cartoon Dog is very, very similar to Cartoon Cat at the end of the day. So they work out pretty well for his chromatic. And this phase is a lot better than Cartoon Cat in my opinion. This chaotic nature feels far more warranted by this point in the song. And a lot of the melodies are more followable and feel less like spam, while the instrumental feels far more intense in order to match with those moments in the song where it does end up feeling more like spam notes. Except melodies are, again, more followable, so it feels a lot less like it. And that moment where everything kind of slows down for that bum bum ba da is pretty good and leads into the final act of Cartoon Dog's phase that I really like. That final stretch is super good and sounds really nice from both Cartoon Dog and Boyfriend. Also gotta love that Girlfriend's just kinda chilling there. She doesn't care. That's funny. Also, why is it weirdly enough that Boyfriend and Girlfriend feel most like their canon selves in this mod more than any other mod I've ever seen? Like, they just have so much personality that makes so much sense for them. Unfortunately, the song is over all a bit too soon. Not! Because then Cartoon Cat Boyfriend shows up, and yeah, this part's really good. It really does feel like the most chaotic section of the song. Cartoon Cat's chromatic is mostly the same, except I think it's slightly pitched up. It is kind of hard to tell. This whole section feels like that final fight for your life type of setting, and it's really good. Also, yes, I do think the jump scare is kind of warranted. Sure, on a replay it does end up feeling a little bit unnecessary because you'll see it coming. But like for the first moment, I can see what they were going for and the drag-out doesn't feel too long. And this part where everything switches to a more tune swing, in terms of story reasoning, just doesn't make sense to me. I don't get why this phase is even here. I know Cartoon Cat has basically the ability to warp all of reality around him, but this still feels random. It sounds good though, I'll give it that. Boyfriend's chromatic sounds nice and the instrumental sounds good, and the build-up into that last final stretch is also nice, and... okay, yeah, this final stretch is actually just so good. I absolutely love this little bit to pieces. It sounds amazing, and really ended up carrying the song higher than I think it would have been otherwise. It ends the song on such a dark, intense note. So yeah, despite its flaws, I really like this song. Silver Edge, a song that I was really looking forward to in this mod. Because back when it was just Cartoon V1 and Cartoon Cat V1.5, like, I was so hyped for Siren Head being in the mod. Given how much they had teased him, I was super, super excited. Siren Head is one of my favorite monsters in all of fiction, by the way, so that only added to my hype even further. So when the song finally happened, I was really, really, really disappointed. Siren Head, this just doesn't feel like him. This whole song feels like this real smooth, chill vibe, and it's like, really? I was expecting something far more intense, suspenseful, you know, something that fits Siren Head. And unfortunately, this song really didn't deliver on what I was hoping for in terms of its tone. That being said, the tone is basically the only problem I have with the song. Because everything else is still really good. Siren Head's chromatic fits him amazingly well, almost perfectly even. I think it sounds awesome and intimidating, and Boyfriend's chromatic is also really good, and a lot of the melodies, including that fun little reference you may or may not have noticed, they're all really solid. The instrumental is very nice, and admittedly it does kinda fit Siren Head in a way, due to how atmospheric it can feel and the mixing of the actual siren sounds. But actually, tone-wise, it just doesn't feel intense enough. But that's only a small problem for me at the end of the day, because as an actual song, I really like it. Oh, and then there's this pause point, which, yeah, does feel a little bit abrupt and doesn't quite belong in the song as well as it should have. However, I do give it some pass because this is something Siren Head is known for doing, mimicking voices and luring them into the forest. Although it feels weird to mimic voices now when Boyfriend's already right in front of him, that feels weird. However, there is implications in this dialogue that this might be Trevor Henderson's last words. At least that was implied in the mod, which is kind of a nice little lore bonus if that's true. Unfortunately, that doesn't really save the abruptness of the voice clip. A solid song, I just wanted something far more intense for my favorite character from Trevor Henderson's Library of Monsters.
Excuse me, do you mind?
And here we have... I am not going to be able to pronounce that correctly. Definitely not. So, this song, it took a while to grow on me, but honestly, now that it has, I'm really happy that it did. I quite enjoyed this song a lot. I like how Cartoon Cat sounds. I know I haven't mentioned it up till now, but I honestly like Cartoon Cat's vocals. They have this really nice blend of almost sounding like a voice and just something alien. And it really works on this character, of course. And then there's Cheddar. I did not expect a Wednesday Infidelity collaboration, but like, here we are, and honestly, it's kind of welcome. I really like Cheddar's chromatic, and honestly, I should really rank Wednesday Infidelity at some point in the future, probably sometime next year, because I do want to get around to that mod. Anyways, the song itself is really nice and flows just so well in this entire, almost, how would I put this? It's almost sad in a way. Melancholy. It's really intense and dramatic, though, around the middle part. And I like this big, grand, dramatic part. And again, visuals may not affect my ranking, but man, are these visuals just awesome to look at. I really like how these two vocals play off of each other for Cheddar and Cartoon Cat. It works really well. The only gripe I have towards this song is how it concludes that section. That's this big grand moment, and then you kind of get right back into the slow section, which I don't love, because I feel like this big grand moment almost feels kind of wasted given how the ending of the song is basically that, but even better. And I wish what they had done is they had cut this slower reprise of the beginning of the song and instead had just gone from the big grand moment straight into this more intense beat that comes up. And then it would have gone right into that final climax of the song. That would have made it a little shorter, and I feel like it would have just made the pacing of the song feel a little bit more natural. Because as it is, that sort of slow transition point just doesn't work very well for me. I still like it, of course, but could have been, I guess, handled a little bit better. That being said, the rest of the song is epic and super cool. You don't really get almost these grand orchestral type of songs very often in FNF that put all their emphasis on this dramatic tone. And when you do, and they do it right, oh, it's just amazing to listen to. This is awesome of a song. Even if it's not your cup of tea, you gotta admit, they do this tone super well. Toon Swing is really catchy, you guys. I love how Cartoon Cat sounds in this one. He's so much less menacing than in his other songs, where they sound almost alien. Here he just sounds kinda chill, and it's really funny to listen to. Plus it fits, this isn't a malicious version of the Cartoon Cat. Well, I mean, who knows what his entire intentions are when he's flirting with Girlfriend, which, back off, dude, that's Boyfriend's girl. Anyway. I really like his vocals, and I think they blend well with the instrumental, which is nice and catchy. Boyfriend's voice is a little weird at first, but I've adjusted to it, and I think it sounds nice. It's definitely one of those types of vocals where you have to kind of get used to it. But once you do, the whole song just really clicks into place. And I like this song. The melodies are all really nice, and this back and forth is solid, but then this chorus just... yeah, that chorus is really good. Franderman, who made this song along with a few of the others in the OST, is a real master when it comes to this swing style of music. Incredible work. They also made... So they made Toon Swing, Hideout, Silver Edge, Fright Fest, and the old reruns before it got remastered. I don't think I'm missing anything. They have a real good talent for this style of music, and it shows, because Toon Swing is just really catchy. That being said, it kind of makes me wish that Franderman was working on Indie Cross. I know that's a weird point to bring up, but honestly, I kind of would have loved to see them do the song Snake Eyes, because I think their style would have fit that whole style really well, and that's just something I really wanted to get out there, just cause. By the way, Franderman, you ever check this video out? You got talent. Just know that. And that showcases very clearly in this song, because this style is perfected. So good. The only gripe I have is that the ending doesn't really feel necessary with this kind of long and dragged out bit. It feels a little bit unnecessary. Kind of feels like it's trying to replicate what Fright Fest did, except it does it worse in my opinion, and the opening maybe could have been a bit more inviting. Otherwise, I love it.
want to play hide and seek?
Hideout used to be my favorite song in the mod, and I still to this day love this song. I really like this instrumental, and this opening is just so good. Really brings you into the song almost instantly. Boyfriend's vocals, again, a little bit on the strange side, but I like how they sound in this song. And I love Luna Henderson's chromatic. It was good and Sana Mi Dollar, but it is actually just so much better in Hideout. This song was practically made for Luna's vocals, and it's so good. And I love how this opening just suddenly stops. And then Siren Head walks past. This is the kind of tone I was expecting more from the Siren Head song, if you will, and Silver Edge is still a good song. But Hideout just did this so much better. I love this slower section. It's a really good vibe. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, that's probably the reason Sana Mi Dollar ranks so low, is because every other song that has this vibe aesthetic just does it better. Huh. At least for me. Anyways, I really like the back and forth here between Luna and Boyfriend. Their vocals mesh just so well together. And it makes me happy that they made this kind of unique sound for Boyfriend's chromatic. Therefore, it pairs well with a lot of these other songs, much better than his normal chromatic would have. That's smart on their end and works well. And then, right as Boyfriend starts singing a little bit more, another pause point, and then the ending phase, which is just really good. My only gripe is that the ending phase is way too short. I guess it's not like super short, but I really wish that the ending was longer because it's the hardest hitting part of the song and just sounds so good, and I really wish it was longer, but it just doesn't last enough, especially when you compare this to the middle and the beginning, which feel like they last longer than the ending, and then the ending's just so short and abrupt, and it sucks because the ending is awesome, it's peak, but I just want way more out of it. Amazing song, just give me more Hideout!
We're on our way to Grampy's, always such good company. It's the only place to be, over at Grampy's.
I already know some people are gonna be thinking, when this video is premiering, oh, Mills might end up ranking the very first song of the mod in first place again, just kinda like what he did before a few times now. Well, it was close, but not close enough. Fright Fest is amazing. Not my favorite, but amazing. I love the back and forth between Cartoon Cat and Boyfriend. I already loved Toon Swing, but Fright Fest is somehow like that, but amplified to another level. This instrumental is just so good. It captures this swing feeling while having somewhat ominous elements to it really well. It feels like Cartoon Cat is having fun while also still trying to creep Boyfriend out here and there. But from a song perspective, they far more focus on the music. Great. That's perfect. And this main melody is just addicting to listen to. That so good! And again, then they kind of sneak in this little ominous part, which sounds also really good. Like, yeah, I love the ending bit. Or, not ending bit. This middle bit is really good, and then it builds up just into this nice transition of getting back into this intensity. I love this bit. Everything from this part here to the second chorus playing, even to the very ending with that piano fade of, well, not piano fade, but just the fade out of the song is so good. Every element of this song just clicks for me. The only problem I have is that Cartoon Cat sounds a little off tune during the few parts earlier in the song. Only by a little bit though. And I really mean that, only by a little bit. The song was very close to being number one. Number one just, it hit different. I love this. And yeah, like I said, this ending is just so... Yeah. Fright Fest is amazing. I really like it. There was only one song that I just thought was perfect.
I know how it's all gonna end. It's just a rerun. A rerun of my favorite episode.
I don't know how someone could not love Reruns New. This song is straight up peak. I love this ominous opening. It feels like Cartoon Cat just completely ditched all of the performance-y, show-off type of nature he had in Fright Fest and is just going in for the kill while still trying to have as much fun as he can because he wants to be in control. And that tone is communicated so well in this version of Reruns. I love how Cartoon Cat's vocals almost sound like they glitch out at a couple of different points in the song, really showcasing that things are starting to go really, really wrong, really fast. And the melodies just... every single melody is great, and this single bit almost sounds like an atonal, but it doesn't sound like a bad atonal, it just sounds awesome. And this build-up is just so good. Oh, I love this build-up. It's amazing. And then Cartoon Cat has this little pop-off. The instrumental just carries it through with so much life and so much energy. Man, I love this! I love it so much! And then, yeah, that little mimic boyfriend bit is also musically really pleasing. It's just so catchy and transitions really well back into the main melody of the song. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm actively vibing while re-listening to reruns every time it comes on, because I love this song to pieces. Oh, but that's not even the best part. This part is. I'm sorry, that drop, I had to shut up because that drop is one of my favorite drops in FNF. I have not been hit that hard with a drop since Dictator from Mario's Madness. I am being dead serious. That is one of my favorite beat drops ever, and this ending is so well done and ominous. I just wish Boyfriend's voice was a little bit louder during the ending though, I will admit that. But like otherwise, song is peak. Oh, I love reruns! Cartoon Cat. Oh, I loved this mod. This was so much fun to look through. I really like this soundtrack. And even though there are flaws in a lot of these songs, I feel like they're only small flaws that could be fixed in a future V3. And this honestly could be the next Mario's Madness. Okay, maybe that's a bit much of a stretch. Actually, you know what, that is a pretty big stretch. Mario's Madness is kinda hard to top. That being said, Cartoon Cat with a V3 could be on at least similar to that level. Because I love this soundtrack. I just really want more from it. There's a lot here that I love. And even though, yeah, we waited a long time for V2, and then we didn't end up getting that much in terms of a new, like, expansion on the story elements of it, which is definitely a very big shame. They're clearly setting up for more in the future, which I'm excited about, and I hope that when V3 comes around, we'll get a lot more songs for the main story stuff and less free play stuff, because even though a lot of the free play songs are great, I don't really feel like that's where some of the focus should have been, and that's the unfortunate part that I think killed some of Cartoon Cat V2's popularity, was that it felt like there was more focus on free play stuff than there was on the main story stuff, which, yeah, I get that, and that's a big shame, and even I don't entirely like that. The songs are good, but they really could have focused more on the story. I still love this mod though, and just to show you how much I love it, here's my tier list. Yeah, that's a pretty big contrast from my last video, huh? Yeah, I like the Cartoon Cat. Now with this video finally tackled, I've got a very special surprise in store for the next video. I will see you guys next time for a little surprise for the end of the year. See you next time.